Gaby, Justin, look at the two accounts that just followed me on Instagram.
Oh, let me see.
Let's see.
Let's check out the Modern USA Democracy account first. Oh, it's this one. USA Democracy. The American democracy was established after the end of the American Revolution in 1783. It built a solid foundation of fairness and stability for the United States. The new Constitution, introduced in 1787, set a path to modern democracy and helped distribute authority and power within the nation. Let's check out this one. Pros. All citizens have equal rights. Since we are a republic, we choose our own lawmakers. In the United States, the 14th Amendment gives constitutional protection of the basic rights of citizenship. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. So citizenship is granted based on the place of birth and the process of naturalization. Equality and human rights must be guaranteed to every American citizen as well, no matter their race, sex, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We elect representatives. Laws governing U.S. elections go all the way back to Article 1 of the Constitution, which gave states the responsibility of managing federal elections. Many constitutional amendments and federal laws have been passed these past 100 years to ensure all Americans have the right to vote and the ability to utilize that right. For example, the Voting Act of 1965 prohibits voting practices and procedures that discriminate based on race, color, or membership in a language minority group. This law also requires certain jurisdictions to provide election materials in other languages besides English. 3 branches of government watch over each other to prevent each other from abusing power. The United States federal government has 3 branches. They are the executive, legislative, and judicial. The executive branch consists of the president, vice president, and cabinet. This branch is in charge of administering the laws. The legislative branch consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate. This branch is in charge of making the laws. And finally, the judicial branch, it consists of the Supreme Court and other federal courts. It is in charge of interpreting and evaluating the laws that are instilled in the government. And the last post. Cons. Every vote that is taken has a monetary cost. According to the National Conference of State Legislators, $544 million are lost in productivity on a U.S. presidential election day. Since 2000, every election in the U.S. has cost more than $1 billion. Elections that are local, like mayoral or school council elections, tend to exceed $100,000 in cost, but it is still a lot. Once a representative is elected, the voices of the citizens are gone and they have to put their faith in the person elected and trust that they will do what they promised. Sometimes the people may not make the right choice, or they may have doubts with who they elect, so it can be hard to trust their president or elected representative fully. It is hard to impeach or remove the president. There is no easy way to remove an unpopular president from power before their term ends. Impeachment in the United States involves the lower house of a legislator bringing charges against a civil officer of government for crimes alleged to have been committed. To this day, no president has been removed from office by impeachment and conviction, to have been impeached by the House of Representatives but were later acquitted by the Senate. And another one had an impeachment process against him, but he resigned from office before anything could be voted for. In some cases, this is obviously a good law to have, but in others, it may not. All right, let's check out the next one. Athenian democracy. Let's see this one. Athenian democracy. The Athenian democracy was established in the late 5th century. The word democracy, meaning rule by the people, was first coined by the Athenians, making them the first known group to have adopted a government ruled in this way. All native-born male citizens who were 18 years of age or older were allowed to participate in the Athenian assembly and partake in law passing and judging.
What's the second post? Pros. Every male citizen over the age of 18 had an equal chance of joining the Council of 500, which was responsible for creating the agenda for each assembly. This was due to the use of a lottery system in which the members of this council were randomly chosen, not elected. Regardless of your financial situation or economic status, you still had a chance of being placed in this respectable position. The Athenian voting system was much more easy and time efficient than modern forms of democracy. Since the assembly was so large, the most time efficient way of voting was by a temperature of the room. When asked who was in favor of a law, those that supported it would raise their hands. The type of voting employed in the popular court was by ballot. Both of these methods allowed for voting to be done as fast and simple as possible. All citizens who were eligible to vote were allowed to participate in the assembly, vote, and judge. This gave these citizens the freedom to do as they wanted in the political environment in Athens. Since the only requirement to participate in these three fields was to be a male citizen over the age of 18, many citizens were encouraged to participate in Athenian politics from a young age. This is one of the reasons why politics was seen as so important in Athens. Oh, how about this last post? Cons? Since Athens had a limited democracy set in place, there were many things that the people had no say in. For example, medics did not have the right to vote or participate in assembly. This also applied to women, who were even legal citizens in Athens. Slavery in Athens was also legal, and the people did not have a say in it. The people did have a large voice in Athenian politics, but due to their limited democracy, issues like this were prevalent in their society. Due to the lottery system, representatives were not elected to speak on behalf of the people. This meant that almost all the power was set in the hands of the people. Although it may sound good on paper, this can and most likely will lead to chaos. It is very easy for majority rule to turn into mob rule, which is highly feared in democracy. To prevent this from happening, it is necessary to elect representatives to speak for the people. The majority of residents in Athens did not have full citizenship. Only 10 to 20% of the total Athenian population were allowed to vote and participate in assembly. This silenced the 80 to 90% that comprised of medics, slaves, women, and those who were not old enough to vote. Proposed laws were sure to benefit the 10 to 20%, not the rest of the population.
That was really cool. I'm gonna follow them back. Yeah, I'm gonna follow them too.
Yeah, me too. I learned a lot about democracy.